Obviously, it's been a really good start for both myself and the team. So I think it just goes to show the work that we put in before the season and kind of during the summer. So I think we're just going to keep building from here.
You can see by coming back for your second year what it can do. And just the confidence that Owen Power has this year from where he was a year ago, it's through the roof. It's really enabled him to do so many more things on the ice.
All right, welcome in on this Friday, this special Michigan Hockey Live. I'm Dennis Fithian, and if you're watching here on YouTube, you see him right there on the screen. If you're listening on the podcast, it is the play-by-play voice of the Michigan hockey team, Al Randall, who joins us here on this Friday. Al, how are you?
You know, we used to do this, you and I, back in the day when it was all on telephone, and we had stations connecting with us. Do you remember that? And you know, today we have cell phones and this, you know, the internet connections. We never had that back then. We used, if I remember correctly, Dennis, while we were on the air doing the game, you were recording highlights and you were calling specific numbers that you had compiled from the different rinks around the CCHA to get updated scores, first period, second period, etc.
That's right. And some of the people on the other end of the line were a little bit more helpful than others. You know, some people would just give you 3-2 and hang up the phone. Others, you know, you'd say, hey, give me the goal scores. They not only give you the goal scores, they give you the time of the goal. They give you the assist. They give you the upcoming schedule. They gave you everything. So, yeah, it depended who you had on the other end of the line. But you know what? You know, back when Red Berenson was the head coach, you know, he wanted as much attention with the hockey team as he could. We used to come out and do a broadcast there. And I told Red, I said, you know, Red's good, but the edger that comes out, it's the loudest mower you'd ever hear. He said, well, when do you want it to take place? Can we do anything about it? I said, well, if you do it right at 5 and, you know, you do it for like 7 minutes there, right at 5 o'clock, they'd start that edger up. Guy would get done in like 7 minutes going around the rink, and Red was accommodating there. Now, you know what? His name's down there on the ice. Al,
we could probably do a nostalgia day about back in the days of Banfields and the band actually coming down to the restaurant and going through, and the alumni band and all the fun we've had over the years. We have to do that one time.
We both came in. You know, Michigan, you know, won the championship in '96, and then you know did it again when Turco was a senior, and you know some of those you're talking about the band. You know, I can remember I don't know, it was the Bob Hayes in the back, you know, bussing tables and stuff in the kitchen, washing dishes with, you know, after you know a little championship celebration. So there's some, those are the ones. You know, you remember a lot of the you know the great seasons and going over and over and over again to the tournament, but making those runs and winning that first one in Cincinnati was something else.
It really was. And I remember when we went to Boston, it was Doug Karsh that drove us all the way to Boston. We went through Canada, and we didn't leave until late because he had an intramural basketball game, and he had the stinky green T-shirt, and and this was earlier in the playoffs, and he had that T-shirt here at Yost for the CCHA playoffs. He took it to the Joe Louis for the finals, and then he takes it on the road to the NCAA tournament. And we end up in Boston. He's got the same T-shirt, and he refuses to wash it. Now, he's not wearing it, mind you, but he refuses to wash it because it's good luck. And it was actually hanging in the radio booth, this green T-shirt that he used at intramural basketball when Michigan won their second national championship in 3 years in '98.
Josh Langfeld with the game winner in that one. Morrison in '96. I can remember those. You know, you fast forward here to tonight, Al. This Michigan hockey team, they don't have to depend on nostalgia or you know past years or anything. This is the top ranked team in the country here. They're bringing in number 14 Notre Dame. I was just looking at some of the numbers before we connected. 52 goals in their first 12 games. I mean, that's the best in the country. When you watch this, where are they scoring from? Is it everywhere? Just how does it look as you broadcast this team that's filling up the net like they are?
Now, the way they have their line set, they can score from any line can score. And if you looked at the last couple of games, one at Michigan State, one at Penn State, Luke Morgan scored the first goal. So you don't know where the scoring is going to come from, but you do know one thing. You're playing Notre Dame, okay? And just the recent history will tell you that there is no home ice advantage. Michigan has won 4 straight on their home ice, and they have won 4 straight here. So at Yost. So there is no home ice advantage. Throw out the records. I know we say that a lot, but this Notre Dame team, I think, is going to be the biggest test that Michigan has had all year. And if you look at the roster, they really took advantage of the portal, and they have 6 graduate students from all over the country, from Minnesota, from Providence, from Cornell. They have their goalie is from Cornell, who, by the way, is third in career shutouts, just behind Ryan Miller in NCAA history. He's a good one, and he'll be there tonight. And I assume we'll see him both nights. But they have a lot of talent on this team, and it's kind of an injected talent via the portal, and of course the regular talent that they already have had here. So they filled in nicely. Notre Dame has, and of course Jeff Jackson's a great recruiter. He's one of the best hockey coaches in college hockey history, and he knows how to play Michigan. And you're going to see them put on what they try to do is, I think Fred Plesch called it the defense where you just huddle in front of the goalie, the armadillo defense, he called it. But I think you'll see that. Notre Dame has always been a really good defensive team, but now they're getting goal scoring, and they're on a 4-game winning streak like Michigan. So it's going to collide here. And again, like I said, they've won 4 in a row here at Yost last 2 years.
I should say right there at the outset, I wanted to thank Michigan Hockey Twitter for the sound of Mel Pearson, and then number 22, the Michigan defenseman, Owen Power, 6'5". He's getting it done. He had a great weekend, and he's the first ever Michigan hockey player to go number 1. And Al, do you think I've been asked a few times, and I thought I would ask you. This with Michigan getting the top ranked players to commit and then get drafted and come back. Do you think this is kind of a one-off situation, or do you like a once-in-a-lifetime type thing where they have this many players and they come back like this, or do you think this is a trend that could continue for Mel Pearson and company? I
would say that would be nearly impossible to predict that you're going to get in next year's draft you're going to have 5 more first-round draft choices. It's only happened once in the history of college hockey, so you probably will never see it again.
Mel Pearson, you've been around him a long time, even when he was an assistant, and now as a head coach. I get the feeling just listening to him, even when the team over the years has lost, he doesn't get too low. He's pretty honest about his team, whether they have a scoring drought or whatever else. But what's the coach been like when he's got a team like this? And he's got such a dangerous team. What has been his approach? How has he dealt with this?
That's an interesting question. That's better answered probably by the coach. But Mel seems to always never get, one of those guys that never gets too high, never gets too low, like you just said, and he rolls with it. But he's got great leadership, and he commands that his leaders do the same thing. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Nothing is lost, and they've had so much positive this year. I guess you have to guard against negative, And the negative part for the Michigan game could be this year, if they have one, would be if they get down early. When they get down early, they start to tend to do individual things instead of team things, and that's natural. Any team would do that. Everybody tries to do it themselves and win the game, but we've only seen that on a couple of occasions, and pretty much Michigan has showed, especially in the last several weeks, that they can come from behind and take games on the road, and that's the most important thing, is they haven't lost on the road. They're great on the road, but now they've had 2 losses here at home, so they got to take care of business this weekend against Notre Dame.
Yep, and you got a game coming up tonight, 7:30 face-off. Tomorrow night, it's 8 o'clock. I listened to you there on MGO Blue. I'm able to hit that button there and listen to the dulcet sounds of Al Randall coming right through the phone there.
Matt Stewart will be with us tonight, and he's a wonderful announcer. He has a great we have really good color analysts, and to me, it's not the play-by-play guy that makes the broadcast. It is definitely the color analyst. Color analyst carries the broadcast, and Max does a superb job. And of course, we heard Fred Flesh last week, and we have a answer. Well, now we've got the Zamboni for the ice trimmer trimming down below, so we got a little noise. Now we had the Zamboni at Penn State. Now we've got the ice trimmer.
Yeah, that's the answer, I think, right? I like that. Here we're live down there. Well, Al, I've got one final question for you. What's this rivalry? I know Michigan State's a great rivalry here, but Michigan-Notre Dame, Jeff Jackson from when he was at Lake State, when he went to coach the development team. I think he went to Michigan State. He's from Roseville. Just that coaching. But what's the rivalry like, Michigan-Notre Dame?
Okay, I think I caught part of that question. It's hard to hear right now with the team, but I think you asked me how the rivalry is between Michigan and Notre Dame in hockey. Is that what you asked me?
That is. Hey, Al, you know what? I think it's too tough with the edger. Enjoy the game. It was great talking with you. We don't need to yell back and forth. Awesome job with the video there at center ice, and have a great call. We'll be listening. We'll talk to you next week when we get a chance.
Okay.
All right.
Take care, Dennis.
Hey, thanks, Al. Appreciate it. There he is, Al Randall.